We're a couple seconds out. Welcome to Chamber Education, our first Chamber Education for 2022. I'm Priscilla Monti, Senior Vice President for Programs and Communications here at the Hampton Roads Chamber. When we were setting up our Chamber Education sessions for this year, we realized that the one thing that none of us have enough of for 2022 is time. So that's why we have a time management class today. Our speaker today is Christine Ettehad. She's a graduate of the University of Maryland, College Park, and holds an MS degree in higher education from Indiana University, Bloomington, presently serving as Dean of Campus and University Partnerships, DeVry University. In her role, Christine directs campus operations, campus outreach, and serves students, alumni, and corporate partners nationwide. She's been a leader in post-secondary education for over 15 years. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Christine.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Priscilla, and thank you very much to everyone at the Chamber. I'm so excited to be kicking off the 2022 education series. So today we are going to talk about time management strategies. So thank you all for joining us today. We're going to discuss time management strategies. And the reason we're going to discuss it is that we want you to, so that you can choose to do more of the things you love rather than to be forced to do the things you must. This is the essence of our workshop. So again, welcome. I'm so glad you chose to spend your valuable time with us. I'm not sure about all of you, but 2021 was a very interesting and challenging year. As this is our second year dealing with COVID, and many of us are now working remote. We're only going to the office a few days a week. Many of us are guiding our children as they learn in a remote environment, or they're serving as, we're also serving as teachers and tutors as they're in and out of school due to COVID restrictions. And we are all caring for family and friends. So as we start to think about time management, New Year's resolutions, how to be more efficient with our time, I want you to think about what would you do with an extra 10 hours per week? So we can make this a meaningful dialogue, I would like you all please to travel with me over to the chat. And Miss Leetta from the Chamber, thank you very much, is going to be helping me out with the chat. Please tell me, what would you do with an extra 10 hours per week? All right, have fun with family. Thank you, thank you. That's always important. Sleep, yes, okay. I can never get enough sleep. Read, yes, thank you, Deborah. Work on my book and online training program. Thank you, Susan. And thank you. Yes, take some personal time to pamper yourself. It's so important, especially now, in this new COVID world we're living, home and work are blending and you still need to take care of yourself. And Delilah, I hope I'm saying that right. Less work to do from home and enjoy your weekends more. Exactly. All right, so thank you for chiming in there. So this workshop is designed to give you a couple of key takeaways that you can implement immediately to see if we can get back some of that most valuable commodity, our time. Studies have shown that in a normal 8-hour workday, distractions and poor time management cost us about 2 hours per day. It's about a quarter of our day. So time management strategies are critical to your success. So here is our agenda. We are going to go through it together. Oops, sorry about that. So today we're going to talk about how to survive in an age where we are being asked to do more with less. And we're going to look at several key areas of time management. So we're going to cover multitasking. We're going to learn a step-by-step process for filtering your workflow so you can focus your attention and efforts on high-value tasks. We're going to identify some potential pitfalls in our prioritization, and we're going to participate in an exercise to help us improve. And finally, we'll explore some tech tools available on the devices we use every day at home and at work that can help us with time management strategies. And because most of you in this, yes, virtual room have or are currently thinking about education as a way to enhance your skill set, just like you're doing now, you're participating in the Education Growth Series. Because you're going to be thinking about education, we're going to take a few minutes at the end, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about DeVry University and how we could help you with your education and professional development plans. So when you leave here today, we hope that you'll rediscover the power of focus. You'll have learned some new strategies for organizing your tasks so you can spend your time on what is truly most important and determine how to use your current devices in a new way that can help to better time management. And I want to reinforce today's workshop is all about you. Thank you so much already for chiming in on the chat. Your participation and your experiences and best practices will enhance everyone's experience today. And it really makes the session more engaging and more dynamic. So thank you so much. So let's move to the next slide. What would you say are some time bandits at work? So if you can, please go over to the chat. What are some of your time bandits at work? People, emails, yes, okay, exactly. Email, requests for information, thank you. Thank you. Unplanned meetings, impromptu meetings, because somebody needs something and they need it yesterday, right? Thank you, Deborah. Exactly. COVID and everything that means. Children, dogs, the Amazon delivery driver, barking at the Amazon delivery driver and the dog barking at him. Contractors in your neighborhood. I can't tell you all the distractions I've had since working remotely. They did all kinds of roofs in our neighborhood. It was so loud, and you just can't imagine all the noise. Constant interruptions, exactly. Also trying to, thank you, making people understand that even though you are in your home office and this is a remote environment, you're still working. So I don't know about some of you, but I actually had to create a little sign, lock the door, and put a little sign on a Zoom meeting, on a WebEx meeting. Please come back in 15 minutes. So thank you for, exactly. All of those are major time distractions, major time bandits, and things that we've all had to deal with. And especially with respect to COVID and many of us working in new remote environments. So we've all had days when we're trying to manage significant workload or simply juggle the unanticipated. And that's why we are here today, to learn how to reevaluate how we're spending our time and be more productive. So by a show of virtual hands out there, how many of you have ever found yourself avoiding certain tasks or shifting to the newest priority that crossed your desk? Anybody out there? Has that ever happened to you? Exactly. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Forick, and Shelton, last name Shelton. Thank you. It happens. You're like, okay, that's it. I'm going to finish writing this paper today, and then bam, something new comes your way, and you start working on that, and then you're still working on the other project. So did you know that actually in a recent study from David Meyer from the University of Michigan showed that switching midpoint what you are doing actually increases the time that it takes you to finish both tasks by 25%. There's been all kinds of studies on this. I just cited, David Meyer from University of Michigan, but there's all kinds of studies on how When you switch mid-task or you try to multitask, it actually ends up taking you longer. You cannot give 100% to a project if you're multitasking, which could impact your ability to finish assignments on time or even diminish the quality of the deliverables altogether. So in this world where sometimes you have, it's happened to me, guilty, you got 7 emails open, you're looking at some reports, you're talking on the phone, you're planning these different activities. When is it appropriate to multitask? Have you ever heard the saying? I'm sure you have. You cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. Well, I'm sure most of us here believe we could do that effectively, and we can multitask 2 activities, right? So, can you tell me what type of activities you can multitask without compromising efficiency and quality? So hit me up in the chat, please. Okay, emails and the phone. Okay. Cooking and talking on the phone, absolutely. I don't know about you. I have a headpiece everywhere. I'm always connected to my phone with Bluetooth speakers, but I'm always with my phone listening to podcasts or maybe listening to a conference calls so that I can, maybe even exercise at the same time. Oh, yes, somebody else just hit it. Exercising and listening to music. Thank you. Yeah, you got it all. You're going to exercise, you're going to listen to the podcast, and you're talking on the phone. Exactly. So I think we're all in the same boat of some of the things that we do. So multitasking is hardest when the tasks are similar to each other, but a bit easier if they are different. So for example, while you're chatting on the phone and writing emails at the same time, that could be difficult because it involves similar thinking processes in order to generate meaningful sentences. Talking while playing the piano is not quite as hard because they're different activities. So just over 2% of people are what you call the brilliant super taskers. They're able to divide their concentration effortlessly and suffer no drop in performance. The problem is that most of us are not very good at knowing whether or not we fit into this group. So in order to maximize your time, you must look at your time differently. You look at time differently. So at this time, I'd like to share some tips on how to maximize your time to increase efficiency. Let's talk about what to do when you want and need to get things done. So the first thing you need to do is you need to give your full attention to the task in front of you. This is something that's easy to overlook, but often the reason why our tasks take longer than we estimate is because we allow ourselves to get distracted by what's going on around us. The next thing you know, you've started like 3 projects and you've completed none. Yep, that's definitely happened here. So when you set a clear rule that you'll focus on only one specific task at a time, one specific task at a time. Think about that. I'm gonna run this report and I'm gonna analyze it, and nothing else is gonna get in my way. I'm only gonna focus on that report. You increase your efficiency dramatically. Not only will you become quicker at completing tasks, but you will improve your accomplish rate by finishing more tasks even quicker. I know it seems counterintuitive, but it's true. The more you can give your focus, the faster you can complete the task and you'll be more efficient. Another thing to do is to set specific time frames for task completion. It's amazing, how focused you can be when you have a short amount of time to get a task completed. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I kept delaying a project and then I was like, that's it. It's Tuesday, I'm going to finish that project. So I started setting alarms for myself on my phone. Every hour the alarm would go off. Where was I? Had I concentrated on that particular project? Where was I? Was I halfway through the project? Had I not even looked at it? So then that's this reminder. Your whole day doesn't get away from you when you have, alarms on your phone, and it doesn't even have to be a nice, a nice tone. Make it something that's like, alarming to you. Oh, I got to get this done. Time's running out. So how many of you actually feel more productive when you're under pressure or a deadline? Like if you have a 15 minutes to complete the task, you commit yourself to getting it done within that amount of time so that you can move to your next task. How many of you have ever actually used like alarms on your phone as well to help you finish your tasks? Anybody? Oh, oh yes. Okay, thank you. That chat's coming through nice and good now. Yes, yes, all the time. We need to. We really need to. Uh, it's a great tool, and it's on your phone, which is pretty much always with you. So it's a great way to use that. Another thing that you can do is you need to become effective at switching gears. Yes. You ever finish a task and move on to the next, yet still you're thinking about the task that you just completed? Oh my gosh, did I post that correctly? Did I send the email to all the stakeholders? Did I post it in the MS Teams? Did I also post it on, our employee portal? That wastes your time. It wastes your precious time when you have to switch between unlike activities. So give all of your focus to the one activity, do it right, post it, and be done with it. You mentally need to stop and move to the next task. We also want to prioritize high payoff versus low priority tasks, right? So you need to concentrate on prioritizing your tasks. Like what's at the top of your list should be the highest payoff with the lowest priority items at the bottom. So we're going to get into more specifics about prioritization strategies a little bit later in the webinar. And I don't know about you all. Let me make sure I have mine here, but it's true. Honor your calendar. Yes. Okay. I still have the old fashioned. There it is. Yes. I have the planner. I have my, now you can see it. I have my planner. I have my Outlook on my work phone, and I use the app. I also have my regular phone, and I still have an old-fashioned calendar. I like to have just things centralized. I like to be able to see what's going on, but primarily I use my Outlook. But I like to have several things, and you need to really keep up with your calendar, so you can write it down and know where you're going. And then you don't have to stress about what's going on because it'll be on your calendar. Like, it's so nice, even the Zoom meetings, you save it and there it is. It's on your Outlook calendar. And most of the time you all can have it on your phone as well. So honoring your calendar actually provides you a lot of relief and control in your life. So I mentioned the importance of prioritizing projects, which has a tremendous impact on our ability to effectively manage our time. So we're going to delve into this topic a little bit deeper. How do you prioritize your day, your week, your month? So somebody hit me up in the chat. How do you prioritize your day, your week, your month? Oops, sorry. Oops. Time slots, deadlines. Yes, thank you. Thank you. What needs the most amount of time? But it's profitable to the lowest. Money making activities first. Exactly. How much time you spending out there prospecting versus like writing up plans? Where are you spending your time? Are you on the phones? Are you spending most of your day on the phones? Or are you, still out, pounding pavement doing networking? What are you doing? What is needed first? Exactly. So I don't know about, mostly on Zoom and PC by the client. Exactly. So I also use typically I use WebEx. This is the first time actually presenting on the Zoom meeting. I mostly use WebEx, and companies and partners that we work with usually use WebEx as well. Okay, you're mostly on Zoom there and PC. Okay, a lot of the work is dependent on responses from others. So often you try to get the requests out so others are working on their info exactly so that you can take care of the things you need to control and maybe actually plan it out, work backwards. If this is your deadline, then this is, these are the other components, these are the other pieces, and these are the other stakeholders, and making sure everybody's informed. Let's do the most important things first. Exactly. Because otherwise, what happens? They never get done. So I don't know about most of you, but I am a list maker. And what I do is I type up my to-do list and I put it in my calendar. So say I put it at the beginning of the week on Monday, and I do add to it. And then what I do is I take that to-do list and I take it from one week to the next, but it really helps me to keep on track because it's like there's always one more little thing you have to do, or you have to plan this out. So I'm definitely a list maker. Who here likes to take care of things that are, well, you already said it, the easiest first with a sense of accomplishment, but then there are others that like to go in and just tackle exactly what's the hardest thing and how am I going to take care of it? And I think it's very important to attack the hardest thing first. That's where your mental energy should be. So then you can move on to the low priority tasks. So what I'd like you to do now with either your electronic notepad or you can still use hard copy notepad, please, I want you to go over there and I want you to write down what are five items on your to-do list, okay? So please take a moment and do that. 5 items on your to-do list. Write that down on your e-notebook or on a hard copy notebook. Okay, now that you have your list, just keep it handy because we're going to be using it over the next few minutes, okay? Let's see. So we're going to talk about what is your strategy to tackle your tasks. Like I said, you're going to do the hardest things first or the easiest things first. And then we're also going to talk about how do you manage up and how and what do you delegate. So I want to talk about tackling tasks. From here, we will start the process of attempting to find balance by first identifying your tasks. And then you should have written them down, like I said, 5 to 7. And then we're going to talk about what are some things that you should consider regarding the items that you listed. Know your responsibilities. What are you responsible for completing? You need to understand the scope of the work. What is involved and how much time will it take to complete the task? And it's so important, you have to identify all the key stakeholders. You got to involve everybody, not just the VP, not just the manager, not just an executive. You have to have the admin. You have to have other people in who are the stakeholders and who are you providing this deliverable for? And it's so important, you have to establish a timeline. When is the deadline? And if you cannot manage the task in one setting, you have to schedule out blocks of time. An hour on your calendar working on this project, an hour on your calendar working on that project. Sometimes I actually use the timeline if I know this is the deadline, and then I work backwards. That way you can keep everything in order and then also keep your client or partner abreast of what's going on. So now let's look at a few strategies for managing and filtering your workflow. So the first pathway that will help you to fix your workflow and make it easier is to manage up. So what exactly is that? So when you manage up, you're attempting to meet your manager or your organization's expectations in response to given instructions or inquiries. So to be clear, like managing up is not it's not really about the reporting line or anything like that. It's about taking responsibility and communicating through the work process and getting things done. You know, regardless of how busy you are, you need to take the time to keep your manager up to date, and things will move much smoother for you and for the team as a whole. You also need to understand, you know, what are some of the criteria for managing up? How do you even do that? You should think about what are your manager's priorities? What is his or her style of work? And how do they like to be notified of what's going on? You know, do they like to be notified once a week? This is what I'm doing for the week. Do they like to be notified every day? This is what's going on. You need to make sure that, you know, you understand those things. You also need to make your manager aware of the consequences if he or she tries to overload you, but you do it in a very professional way. You could say, you know, yes, I can get this done by then, but it will delay this project. You know, it's an if and then a then. Understand the consequences, but do it in a very professional way. You need to work out what the job involves. Like as I mentioned before, who are the stakeholders? Who are the other team members that are going to be supporting and contributing to the effort? And finally, you need to always go back with the solution, not just a problem. You don't just drop an open-ended problem into someone's lap or your boss's lap in particular. You want to be known as the problem solver. What do you need done? I got this. Those are the type of people that are the most valuable types of employees to an organization. Now, another pathway for filtering your workflow is delegating. So ultimately, when you delegate a task, you may still bear the responsibility for completion, but the process of how and by whom may change. So for example, you might be working with a junior team member and you're going to ask them to complete the task, or another department altogether. And so there are benefits of effective delegating, and they definitely will be strategies to help you with time management. The first is by coaching your team members and providing a development opportunity and allowing them to gain a greater visibility within the company. And second, by you delegating that task and then of course complimenting and coaching that person, you have maximized your own productivity by leveraging your team's assets. So then you're making yourself like a good, strong leader that's helping to coach others. Another thing that we talk about is looking at the decision criteria for delegation. Like what is required to carry out the task, set yourself up to know exactly what are the expectations, and then make sure that the person knows what's expected, what are the deadlines, and what does success look like for you? What does success look like for you? What is the end goal with this project? So that you're setting, you know, a junior team member or maybe an entire team up for success. So in the chat, what type of tasks do you think you could delegate? What type of tasks could you delegate? Follow-up phone calls, exactly. Thanks for signing up for the Chamber Education Series. We're looking forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing you in February as well. What else? Some creative for social media, like admin tasks, exactly. Like, you know, what's news in our organization that we could share? I don't know about many of you, but we do have a workplace Facebook, and we also do so we get to hear what's going on in all the departments, like what's going on in, you know, business or IT, in our health sciences, and then also what's happening for the organization overall. And we do share those things also with our partners, and we also share that on LinkedIn. copying, appointment, confirmations, exactly. Not too hard for somebody to follow up and help you out. Yep, just want to make sure you're going to be available on Friday to speak with Liana. Leases, invoices, exactly. Canvassing, awesome, awesome. So now we're going to move on to another effective time management tool. We're going to look at the urgent important matrix. So when you hear the word urgent and important, most of us think that they hold the same meaning, but they don't, specifically when it comes to time management. And we need to be able to properly distinguish between the two. So how would you like distinguish between the two? Can you think of some examples? So you see, like, managing time effectively means spending your time on things that are important but not urgent. So in his business classic example, we're still talking about him because he's got some great things to say. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, popularized the concept of the urgent important matrix. Former President Dwight Eisenhower also used it to organize his tasks. And Covey rediscovered it and made it relevant to career aspirations and that thing that's so hard to strike, work-life balance. So now you're going to create your own urgent important matrix. So on that same hard copy paper, your e-notebook there, please, I want you to draw a big box, and I want you to draw, a box of, they could draw a big box with 4 quadrants, okay? So this is the matrix that we're going to use. We're going to go through it together, and we're going to learn how it applies to our lives and our careers. And as we go through each quadrant, you're going to fill in your own personal tasks that best fit the description. So over here in the far left corner, we have urgent. So you should have a box on your paper and thinking about what's in your urgent corner. So you see that it's labeled urgent and important. These are activities in the areas that relate to delegating with critical issues, and they arise and meeting significant commitments. It means these are things you need to do now, right now. So go ahead and in that first quadrant, write down just 2 things that you think you should be doing right now. The second is located in the upper right-hand corner, and this is not urgent. So these are success-oriented tasks that are critical to achieving goals. The plan is to do these tasks next. So if we pay attention to this quadrant, we can keep items from moving from the urgent to the important. So think about, like, what are some of your tasks that are not urgent, but yet they're still important? These would be like long-term perspective. This is like growth control items that you have, projects that you have. Now we're going to look at the third quadrant over there, which is urgent but not important. So these are activities that you do not move forward toward that don't help you to move to your own goals. You can manage these by delaying them, cutting them short, delegating them, or even rejecting requests from others. Like some of you mentioned in the Time Bandits, you said emails. Emails, are a time bandit. Yes, they are. And we all want to be respectful and professional with our partners and also with our colleagues. But sometimes that email doesn't have to be answered right now. Sometimes you can wait and you can finish analyzing your report or finish your outreach calls, and then you can respond to that email. It's all about figuring out what is your top priority. Now over here, we have the not important, not urgent. So these are typically trivial interruptions. They're just like the distraction, they should be avoided if possible. You just don't want to mislabel things like time and family and recreational activities as not important, especially in this age of COVID. I cannot tell you how important it is to get up, take a walk outside, don't eat at your desk, order lunch at home. so important, as we talked about at the beginning of the presentation, self-care. So go ahead in there and write a few things that you know that are not urgent, but yet they are, and they're not important. So a good way to look at the quadrant, and we don't have enough time for all of it today, but I want you to, like, you have the categories. I want you to start thinking about how you would move them to the different categories. What the first category, number one, important and urgent. This is the way you should look at that category. Is this is where you live. These are the things that you need to take care of. Quadrant two is these are things you have to deal with. Okay, they're not urgent, but I have to deal with them. Quadrant three is more like your vacation, what's going on, but I'm sailing right along here today. And then quadrant four is when everything else is clear. These are things that that can pop in. Oh, sure, I have time to talk to him or her. Oh, sure, I have time to, like, actually go back on Facebook and see what's going on with my friends. Or, oh, I'm going to see when that concert's going to be live cast. So I want you to keep this box, and then you can work on it on your own later. So now that we've covered a few ways to filter your workflow, we're going to switch gears, and we're going to look at how we leverage technology and devices, and how do we use those to increase our productivity. So we talked a little bit about the digital tools, as well as still having your planner. Sometimes if you're a day person, I'm sure there are, especially with the chamber, because we always have the morning coffee and the networking. Some of you are day people. So that means you should prioritize the most important things for you first thing in the morning. And then at the end of the day, those are when you do the things that are not as important. Maybe you're doing some follow-up calls, or you're doing some outreach. But if, analyzing reports are the most important, then you need to do that in the morning. But if you're somebody that's a night person, you like to work on your priorities much later in the day. You're that person that's still, drinking coffee at noon. I'm just trying to get started here. That's, you do the less valuable activities in the morning. Maybe you're making a couple of outreach calls, but you're not preparing a report, or, working on projects. So using the digital tools like your email and scheduling can help you to work with what your style is. So what would you say is, like, your go-to strategy for managing and keeping yourself focused? So for me, it's definitely, like I've mentioned several times, Outlook. I like the MS Teams as well. And then I know some of you also use OneNote. So here are a few tips to help you manage your time more effectively. Like we said, what's important. And it says only handle it once. Once you start the project, give it your full attention, post it, send it to all the tasks to the stakeholders, and move on. And then what I said, and I think it's critical as we wrap up here, is spend time offline. You got to get up, get out of your house, go take a walk outside, take a 10-minute mindfulness exercise, take a yoga class in your living room, treat yourself to lunch. Spending time offline actually helps you to be more productive later. Go and actually read your book. All right, so as we're wrapping up here, I want you to think about, how would you enhance your career through education? So, what are some of the things that you could do to enhance your career and continue your professional development? And what does that mean exactly? So it's about you taking time to be better, to be stronger, and to be in a growth mindset. So the strategies we shared here today are a simplified version of a value-focused time management approach. It's the kind of knowledge you can build on through professional development. So when personal growth is part of your plan, it's a good idea to also consider what new skills or practices would be beneficial to you, so you can gain knowledge that aligns with your career goals. So you can, be promoted within your career. Maybe you want to go on and earn your MBA, or you want to earn a graduate certificate, or you want to earn a web design certification. The point is that you need to be in a growth mindset and ready to take action. And I know you all are here today. That's exactly why you decided to sign up for the Chamber Education Series, thinking about how you can be more effective with your time. So when you're able to really refine how time can be of more value to you, you have more time for yourself. And isn't that what we all want? Nobody wants to be working crazy hours. Nobody wants to be dedicating, more than, the time that you need to work. But if you're more efficient with your time, you can do more of the things that you want to do instead of the things that you have to do. So over at the beginning, Miss Leanna put in the chat there my information. But if you're ready to take action, or if you're thinking, I want to change, I want to earn a master's degree, I want to earn a graduate certificate, definitely here to help you with that. Want to let you know we are when we go to school due to COVID, we've been completely online. Our sessions are 8 weeks long. The next one begins here on February 28th, and then after that, May 2nd. And then you might say, well, what would I study? What is it like? So we award associates, bachelor's, master's degrees, as well as undergraduate and graduate certifications. We specialize in media arts, business, accounting, healthcare, liberal arts, and technology. And again, I mentioned, what are some of the degrees and certifications that we offer. And we do partner with many organizations locally and nationally. So we could already be partnering with your company, in which case you might get a tuition discount, no application fee, and the benefits could extend to your family members. Even if your company doesn't offer tuition reimbursement, we still have partnerships because, this is a great way to attract and retain employees by helping them with their professional development. They're probably asking, maybe you didn't finish up your bachelor's degree and you're like, I just want to finish. We do evaluate all transfer credit. We have dedicated support team, admissions advisors. We have online learning, customizable management systems. Like I said, 8-week classes geared towards working adults. So see here. So today we covered a lot of ground, just about ready to wrap it up. And we did discuss time management strategies. And the entire point of that was so that you could choose to do more of the things you love rather than be forced to do the things you must. So again, I want to thank you all, and I want to thank the Chamber for inviting me and for allowing me to kick off the first education series for 2022.
Christine, thank you so much. This has been great. I just have one question for you. Now,
Yes.
if you had done this same presentation pre-COVID, do you think it would be different? Do you think that our priorities have all shifted post-COVID?
I do think it would be different. I don't think it would be completely different, but we have all had to have this new work-life balance. So many people I've talked about, children coming into your office and like, how do you handle this? And then also we have also had to learn new technologies. I mean, think about all of the new things you had to do working from home. So right now the work world does look very different with respect to COVID. And exactly, the distractions have played a major role, which we didn't have before. Before most people were going to an office and that's it. You didn't have like the laundry going. You didn't have kids knocking at the door. You didn't have the dog barking. You didn't have all these other things calling your name. And now with COVID, we've all had to become much more strategic with our time. But like I said, I still think some of the strategies that we would use before we could use now, like the planners and the Outlook. But we've all had to adjust and help one another to, live in this new environment.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And let me just make sure that nobody has any questions or anything in the chat to add on before we wrap up. Our next virtual chamber education will be February 17th, and that will be with Joel Rubin of Rubin Communications. And he will be talking about branding and public relations. One of his big projects has been helping Dominion Energy brand their wind energy project. And as many of you have become aware, they've got Wednesdays. So Joel's going to talk about how the branding and all of that, and how to create a brand and all that. So that's coming up on February 17th. We are still seeking sponsors for this series. So if you or your company or you know of anybody who's interested in sponsoring this series, please let me know, because they would be able to address this group once a month. So it's a great sponsorship opportunity. And hopefully, if we get a sponsor, we'll go live. But for right now, we're staying virtual. Christine, thank you so much. I know I took pages and pages of notes. So I know hopefully I will be more efficient in 2022 and we can all help each other.
Thank you all. Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for participating. It makes it so much much livelier. I do wish we were in those days of doing things face to face, but I think we're all learning to work in a new world. So thank you very much. I enjoyed it. I hope you all did too.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next month.